Welcome, my name is Steve Katz, and welcome to another edition of Shrink Wrap Hawaii. And I can't tell you how excited I am because this is something truly different than I've ever done before. You are in for a treat today because my guest is Melissa Kurpinski, an intuitive reader. Hold on to your hats. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on the show.
I am so excited that you're finally here.
Thank you.
It's really great.
Me too.
So, all right, let's do the usual first. How do you find yourself in Hawaii? Where are you from? How'd you end up here?
I'm from Jackson, Michigan, and I have been in Hawaii for 5 years. Actually, my 5th anniversary is next week, so yeah, it's been 5 years right on the money. And I came here via Champaign-Urbana, Illinois. And I have a little bit of an interesting story how I got here. My husband was a professor at the University of Illinois, and when he was tenured there, he took a sabbatical and we came here, and I ended up staying, and he ended up commuting back and forth.
And long commute.
Long commute, yeah. So he's now in Chicago, and I live here full time.
So, you're an intuitive reader.
Yeah.
If I didn't know what that meant, what would you tell me? What does an intuitive reader do?
I would also say when people ask that I'm a professional psychic, and that means that I get paid to do psychic readings or intuitive readings. So I sometimes use tools. Most of the time I don't use tools like palm reading or tarot cards. And I do readings for people. Sometimes in groups, sometimes one-on-one. Yeah, it just depends how it goes, and that's what I do for a couple hours or 15 minutes or however much time the person needs.
So, is there a typical person that comes to you? Like, why do most people find you? What do they want to know when they come to you?
Why do people want psychic readings?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Some people want confirmation of what they already know, so they want me to confirm something for them. And a lot of times if
is my husband cheating, that kind of stuff?
It could be, or I'm thinking about switching careers, or I want to move, I'm ready to move off the island, or whatever it is. Although I do readings for people all over mainland and Europe.
Or you do them like on Skype?
Skype, phone, whatever is easiest for them. I work at a store, Sedona, at Ward Center, and we do a lot of translated readings for Japanese tourists. And I work with 2 translators there. So I've done all types. And I guess the question of the day is, why do people want a reading? So I'll ask you, what do you think the 2 most asked questions are when people come in for a reading?
When will I find the love of my dreams? Is that one?
Yeah.
And should I stay or should I go? How about that? No?
Usually the second question is more about work. Work, school, making money. But yeah, the first one is...
Everybody's looking for the love of their life.
Yeah. Or looking to dump what they thought was the love of their life. Yeah. Yeah.
And when did you discover that this was... well, maybe I should back up and ask you, is this a power that you've been given by the universe, or is it a skill that you've acquired?
I think it's both. So I think that something that starts off is a gift then becomes a skill. Like anything else, the more you do it, the better at it you become. So
like your husband probably was born with some musical propensity and then studies the rest of his life.
Right. And practice.
When did you begin to think that maybe this is something that you could do to help people?
You know, I think, like most women, I'm very much an empath.
Uh-huh.
So I can, as a lot of people I know, can feel other people's feelings and emotions, and I think that can sometimes be a blessing or a curse. So when you learn how to manage that and not to take on what everyone else is feeling and not to take it personally, I think you can then get rid of the curse part and use it as a blessing.
Is it partly a curse?
Sure. Like, I think it's difficult for me to go into chaotic situations.
Oh, it makes you feel crazy.
Yeah, it makes me feel crazy. Going into Walmart makes me feel crazy.
It's just
stadiums, lots of big places. There's just too many people. So I find too that the older I get, the less noise, less activity, less people, better for me.
What do people want? Well, you told me that the two things they want most is when will I find my love and should I change jobs or what's my next career or something like that. But so people just want, will you give them well, you will find the love of your life in Starbucks next week on Ward? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think maybe we should talk about the types of readings that there are, because there are, and some people want a really predictive reading. So you're going to walk into Starbucks next week and meet your soulmate, and life will be easy and perfect, and isn't that great? That's what a lot of people want to hear. So I've had a lot of people come into readings and they will ask me, can I get married? Well, yeah, you can do whatever you want. So I think it's more about steering it toward the idea of being responsible for your life, creating your intentions, figuring out what you want, healing anything that needs to be healed, or unblocking anything that needs to be blocked.
This is beginning to sound a lot like therapy.
I think it runs parallel. I think you've just had a lot more schooling than me. And maybe the pay scale is different.
No, I didn't mean to say me, you know, but just what you're describing is what a therapist would do.
Well, I think you get back to what do people want from a reading?
Like the whole part is like, I mean, maybe the reasons that people come to see you is similar to the reasons that people come to see me. Is I often tell people, it's like, everybody that comes to see me, you know, wants to be happier than they are.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying also. They want to figure out, how can I be happy?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I think it's different too. I think of maybe an old school way of reading is more predictive. So you, saying it as an absolute, you will get into a car wreck, or you will win the lottery, or you won't win the lottery. And I think that we live in the realm of possibilities, and every decision and all of your thoughts create what's going to happen next. So you're really steering your own ship. So
if you could take control of your brain.
Yeah. So can you? That's the question. Yeah, I think you can. So, but not everyone that comes in for a reading wants to hear me be a cheerleader for them and say, you know, you are creating this. They want to hear.
Right, because if they're not happy, that's like really upsetting. It's like,
yeah, and listen, I've done.
No, it's not me, it's them.
Right. I have done readings for people where I thought I nailed it. And I'm like, you know, I'm kind of patting myself on the back a little bit, man, that was a great reading. And they're like, it's the worst reading I've ever had. You didn't tell me where and when I was going to meet my soulmate. And I want to get married, or I want to do this, and you didn't say any of that. To me, it's still on them.
Yeah.
You know, if there's stuff that needs to be blocked, if there's old trauma, that's the process. Like, our life is a journey, and that's part of the process.
So, a lot of what it sounds like you're doing is you're empowering people.
Yeah, I think so.
You're telling them they can do this.
Yeah.
If that's what they want.
Yeah. I'm a cheerleader, maybe. Yeah, and it's hard because maybe not everyone is capable of change, and maybe not everyone is willing to take that responsibility to create their future or what they want next. Or
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, if I could see me coming to you and saying, I don't really want to have to do anything. I just want you to tell me that $1 million is going to drop out of the sky, and, you know, I'll find the relationship of my dreams, and I'll be happy ever after, and I don't have to do a thing.
that'd be great. I'd like to hear that too.
You know, just manage to stick around.
Yeah.
And that'll happen.
I think I can then, if I know, and I have had this happen, if that's what the client wants, I can stop the reading and refer them to someone else, which I have done. If I feel that, you know, this isn't really, not everyone wants to hear, it's on you, it's in your lap.
So if the thing about finding the love of your life is like the most popular question that comes up, how do you deal with that?
That's a good question. I think you have to love yourself in order to love other people. I think you have to work through your stuff. I think you have to be open. And I think you have to put yourself out there a little bit. So maybe if we break down a reading. Now
that sounds like something pretty deep. I mean, when you say you have to love yourself, that must come from personal experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to pry, but.
Yeah, I think if you look at the job of being a reader as being a healer, as I help my clients, I'm helping myself.
So it's a two-way thing.
Yeah, so to do a reading, you need to access information and get the information and then pass it on to your client. And sometimes I've gotten information where I thought, this is for me. Is this for me? Is it for them? Is it for both of us? So I walk the same path as my clients. It's a journey for everyone.
You say.
And over the years, my readings have changed, how I do readings and my clients. It's all, it changes every day.
You said something that was interesting. Sometimes I get information.
Yeah.
From where?
So when I do readings, because I'm primarily an empath, I am connected into my client and people they're associated with, and also I'm connected into just source energy, into the universe. And as I access that information comes right through the top of my head, and I present that information to the client.
So you suddenly have this, I don't know what to call it, idea, revelation, thought.
Yeah, or words or sounds. So if you, in the business, someone that can see, or they're seeing it visually, clairvoyant, clear seeing, clairaudient, clear hearing, clairsentient, clear feeling. So if people say, well, how do you do what you do? Clairsentient, some clairvoyance, occasionally clairaudient, and all those things come together. And sometimes it's a big mystery for me too, that I can sit down with a person and know lots and lots and lots and give them lots of information, and for some people I get nothing.
Talking about nothing, we have to go to nothing. No, not nothing. We have a message coming up, and we'll be right back after this break. Don't touch the mouse.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on Think Tech Hawaii. I hope that you will tune in and watch the show. It is inspiring and uplifting and educational also. We talk with artists of all different ilk. We talk with them about what they do, how they do it, and most importantly, most dear to my heart, why they do it. And it never ceases to be fascinating when you get the answer to that question. I hope you'll join us on Center Stage, 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoons. Aloha.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I host a show called Healthcare in Hawaii here on Think Tech. We get together once a week, or sometimes twice a month. Depends when we're busy. We get together less often, but we love to see you here to talk about the preeminent healthcare issues in our state. Our programs vary very widely. We talk about economics, we talk about healthcare, we talk about social issues on this program. Thanks for joining us.
What?
Oh, we're back live with Melissa Kurpinski, intuitive reader. And so, Melissa, you just mentioned something about where you get your...
How do you access information?
That was it. And yeah, how do you access information?
I access information a few different ways. So with anything I do, I try to meditate and connect into source energy where I feel that information comes right through the top of my head.
Oh yeah, you said that before.
Yeah.
But then when we went to break, you said something about channeling.
Channeling and also connecting with spirit guides. We're getting in the real
Whoa,
heavy,
yeah.
New Agey stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot to put my Stevie Nicks outfit on before I came in.
No,
today.
but tell me, really, like, what do you mean when you say channeling?
So,
Spirit guides.
So we'll start with channeling. So with channeling, it is consciously connecting in with a collective beings, like a collective group of beings. So a lot of people channel different star groups, like the Pleiadians or the Sirius star group, and some people, like I know a woman that just channels just a collective group of energy from what other dimension, and they give her information.
And you?
I channel the Pleiadians. I don't channel all the time. It's
so, but how does
something-
that, is it come in as just energy or thoughts, or do you hear voices?
So when I channel, I try to just step outside of myself and allow them just to speak through me.
Do you get another voice? You know,
I
like
don't, but
exorcist
some
kind of thing?
people do. I have a good friend in Ojai, California, Nora Harold, who's great, a great channeler, and her voice changes somewhat. So I think it depends. Some people channel archangels, people channel all sorts of stuff. But for me, it's channeling the Pleiadians.
So when you're in that state, channeling, do you feel like it's not you talking?
I feel like it's them talking through me and my filter. So it's them speaking through me. So I'm conscious.
Right.
I'm a conscious channeler, so I'm not passed out or blacked out or not in control of anything.
And you said you and your filter, so you will filter it. So if you get something that's just...
I think if the information's too heavy and I don't understand it, like I only can understand what I can understand. So it's also about being able to hold a frequency or a certain energy for a certain amount of time to do the channeling. It's like with doing readings too. So with doing readings, I have to, if I'm doing 4 hours of readings, that's a lot, and that takes a lot of energy for me to do. I'm pretty tired after that. So I have to be able to hold that and focus and concentrate for the amount of time it takes me to do it. So that's a full day.
So do you have a way of preparing, like to get yourself in a certain frame of mind before you do a reading?
You know, I used to.
Yeah.
I used to have a whole thing and I'd, meditate, and now I just get my head together and go in and do it. So it's interesting because I read for corporate events and parties. I'm considered a palm reader. People will hire me for events, baby showers, weddings, you name it. I've done it. And I like doing that kind of work. It's kind of exhausting, but
because it's one after another.
Yeah, but it also, it's sort of like running. You have to keep the pace and keep the rhythm and hold your focus. And I find that in some ways it's easier because oftentimes at a party or at a wedding or whatever it is, people have the same frequency. They have the same energy. So really, I'm just connecting into one thing, and everyone's
Because that they're all at the same event.
they're friends or their family or their coworkers, and they have this this kind of group energy. So in some ways, it's easier than doing 3 different strangers because they're all connected through one thing. But after 3-4 hours, I'm done. You know, I'm tired. So I know my limit.
I have this fantasy, like maybe it's from TV movies, you know, where somebody shows up for a reading and you take a look at them and you go, oh no, I can't do you.
Yeah, I do that just to freak people out. Like, oh no. I look at their hand and I'm like, oh, sorry. No, yeah. And then they're like, what? So that's a fun way to get started. But I would say that.
It's kind of sadistic.
Yeah, it's a little sadistic, but I'm not a doom and gloom reader. I think there's enough anxiety and fear in our everyday lives that I keep it positive and upbeat. You know, I mean, we get down to business, we'll get it figured out, but I feel strongly about that. I feel strongly about keeping it upbeat.
Do you have regular customers, people that come back to you periodically?
Yeah, I have. There's a fine line you walk with that, in my opinion. So I think it's a blessing to be able to do this job, and I think to do it means that you should do it with a lot of integrity. So I find that, you know, you want your clients that are happy to come back, but not too often. So I have some clients I read every 4 months, like 3 times a year. I have some clients I read, you know, January every year is kind of like for their year.
How does this connect to the rest of your life? Because I know you do other things.
Yeah, I'm a pretty avid surfer, and that's one of the reasons I live here on Oahu. And I'm also a hairdresser 3 days a week at Rev Salon on Cook and Kapiolani. And it's all about staying present and connecting. I think to surf, you have to be present. You connect with the universe, you connect with the wave, you surf, right? Rated afterwards. But then with doing hair, it's the same. So to me, readings and doing hair, and I've been a hairdresser as long as I've been a reader, it's just, they just come in a little bit happier, less anxious because they're getting their hair cut. But it's, you connect with your client and you're able to...
You mean when they come in for their hair versus for a reading? They come in happier?
They come in happier because it's a haircut.
Does everybody come in for a reading unhappy?
People come in because it's kind of rare for someone to just come in, oh, you know, I'm just wondering. Some people do come in and say, I'm just wondering, you know, what you have for me. But normally they have a question. And I say, you know,
a problem.
Yeah, or a question. You know, let's not waste any time. You don't need me to tell you stuff about you that you already know. So let's get down to business, you know. So it's just easier if we just put it on the table. I can do that, but it's just easier if we can get more done. So yeah, people go into haircuts pretty easygoing and happy.
Yes, but the other connection I can think of is cutting someone's hair and doing a reading. It's very intimate.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you have your hands all over someone's face and head. And,
yeah.
And with the reading thing, it's like people will spill their guts.
Yeah, they definitely spill their guts. Yeah, both are really, really intimate experiences. And I think oftentimes that's why people stay with their hairdresser forever, because who else is touching your head unless you're sleeping with them,
tell
right?
your hairdresser all kinds of things, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a safe space. I think that I hold space for my clients to express whatever it is they need to express. And I can tell you, honest to God, I've heard it all. Just when I think...
In both venues?
In both venues. Just when I think I haven't heard it all, someone will... I really don't think you could say anything at this point that would really shock me, because I've heard it all.
Sometimes you feel like you need a shower afterwards.
Well, so then, I mean, that's another question. How do you keep your space energetically clean? How do you, you know, some people, I guess it's the term psychic vampire. So I'm sure you've had clients like this, and I've had clients like this where they come in and, you know, they like your energy. So just to be around you or me or whoever else, they just kind of latch in and energetically suck. So your client leaves, and even though you haven't done anything that crazy, you're just exhausted or you're drained. So then how do you protect yourself from that, just from feeling drained? Because it's not really you, it's them, right? So how do you keep your space clean? How do you keep yourself clean?
How do you do that?
I keep my space clean. I sage. Even I sage my stuff when I get home.
Sage, you mean burn sage?
Yeah, I burn sage, yeah. Because I don't want to drag all that stuff home with me.
Does that clean it up?
Yeah, I think so. It works for me.
Maybe I should get some sage.
Maybe you should get some sage. And oftentimes my most exhausting clients, after a while, they just don't come back to me anymore. So I have really good boundaries.
What do you mean? You tell them they can't come back?
No, I just think if there's an appropriate time and place to dump, and if it's not appropriate, I try to steer the conversation away from that. I mean, as a reader, it's appropriate. You can dump and we can figure it out, but as a hairdresser...
Oh, I see. You're talking about the hairdresser.
Yeah. I'm not always into it. So,
Yeah.
And I'm open, so that's common. I have gone lots of places, go out for coffee, and somebody just starts. So
right.
I know I'm open to that. So I just try to be appropriate, have good boundaries, and
yeah, it seems that people that are drawn to these professions where people will talk to them, that's just something that they're just those kind of people that everybody talks to them. Like a lot of times, like when I was in school for therapy, most of the people in the room had that in common. Like, yeah, everybody tells me their problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And they do it for their friends. And I remember before I wanted to go to school, I talked to a therapist and I said, well, how can I do what you do? And she said, well, you're already doing it, but if you want to get the official, you know, license, you can go to school for it. So you must have been like that always.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, same with you, right? People felt safe with you where they
Except
could
for the little kids I used to beat up.
Yeah, that's not so good, but you know, they feel safe enough where...
So besides burning sage, what else do you do to take care of yourself?
I sleep. I'm a believer that when I'm tired, I should sleep. So sleep's very important. Rest is important after heavy days where I've had a lot of readings. I like to go home. And I like to have a quiet, clean space to go home to, and just decompress and just let all that information go.
You've mentioned the word clean a lot, and I'm beginning to get a little anxious because I'm messy. So, you think it would help me psychically if I just cleaned up?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Didn't take you long to answer that.
I think...
My wife will love you.
So I think a cluttered space is a cluttered mind.
It's true, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, but you know, not everybody believes that. It's just what I believe. So, yeah, I like clean surfaces. I don't want the energy of old stuff lingering. I don't want it. I want good feng shui. I want the energy to move through the room well, and through me. So I think if there's stuff to get rid of it. You don't need it anyway, do you? Piles and piles and piles of stuff.
Yeah, I was just talking about that with a meeting. Like, what's this big instinct that some people have to hoard stuff?
I think safety. Yeah, I think it's safety. I think people, I think if you've had a lot of trauma, and your stuff feels safe because it reminds you of a better time or a better place or something, I think it's your instinct to keep everything. And lucky me, I didn't have that. So I don't feel the need to really hang on to too much stuff.
Do people come to you who are having trouble? I mean, besides the thing with I want to find the love of my life, but so let's say people are in relationships and they're having trouble with intimacy issues. Do people come with that stuff, like sexual problems?
Yeah, and I remember when I first started doing readings professionally, a friend of mine said, you know, just to give you the heads up, the majority of people coming to you are going to be cheating on their spouse.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, no way. And it was true. So people oftentimes, and it's absolutely changed, you know, my views of marriage and relationships, because why are people married or in a relationship? You know, it could be financially, it could be for children, it could be, it's not the thing that we've put out, it's your soulmate and it's easy and fun the rest of your life. I think, you know, there's a lot of reasons people stay. It could be business reasons, it could be property, it could be just because they're crazy in love, it could be whatever.
I want to hold it right there. It's a good teaser because people want to hear more about this. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away.
Aloha, this is Maria Mera, and I'm here to invite you to my bilingual show, Viva Hawaii on Think Tech Hawaii, every other Monday at 3 p.m. We're here to inform, motivate, and entertain you. Join us. Hola, soy María Mera y estoy aquí para invitaros a mi show bilingüe Viva Hawaii en Think Tech Hawaii cada 2 lunes a las 3 de la tarde. Estamos aquí para informaros, motivaros y entreteneros. Apuntaros.
Aloha, how you doing? I'm Gordo the Tech Czar, here on Think Tech Hawaii, where we co-host Hibachi Talk, where we talk about technology and bring in all kinds of cool guests. Also, my co-host with me today is
Andrew the security guy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Think Tech Hawaii, and thanks for watching Hibachi Talk. We also have Angus.
And you there, lad. It's Angus. I bring in all kinds of wee things. Oh, look, you see my lips moving.
We're back with Melissa Kurpinski, and we just, before we went to break, you were telling us about how you said something like 8 out of 10 of your clients who come in are going to be unfaithful or something like that?
No, I think it, when I first started doing readings, a friend had said, you know, just to give you the heads up, that a lot of the people coming in to see you are married or in a relationship and seeing somebody else.
And what do they want to know?
Well, should they leave? Should they stay? Why are people in the relationships they're in? Is it because of kids or finances or property or business, or why? So it's not necessarily the Hollywood dream of I found my soulmate, happy ever after. So 10, 15, 20 years down the road, people have questions, and not everyone can do it. Monogamy or whatever it is, and that's, should I stay? Should I go? What should I do?
And what do you tell them?
Well, I think it depends. I think a lot of people, everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
So some people should stay and maybe some people shouldn't. So I think it depends. I would never.
Do you go back and examine their marriage?
Yeah, why are you married? Well, if I get divorced, I can't keep my house. Okay, well, you know, okay, you know, I mean, more that's uncovered,
counts.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, there's lots and lots of reasons. So it all depends, you know. But yeah, that's something that is kind of an interesting thing. And of course, people do what they do.
Where do your own values come into it, or do they?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. How can you, act with the highest level of integrity without letting all my own stuff spill into the reading or my own judgment.
Yeah.
So I find that if I'm really being triggered by someone and what they're saying, it's time for me to maybe examine myself. If something's kind of irritating me, or I feel a lot of emotion around what someone's saying, it's time that I really start to maybe think about what I'm doing and how does this relate to me. But I try to keep a pretty blank slate about things. But I have had clients say stuff that's so crazy that I've, you know, yeah, it's made me think.
Can you think of one?
You know, confidentiality,
yeah.
right? So.
Okay. What if a close friend comes in and asks for a reading? Will you do it for a close friend, or is that difficult?
I would prefer not to.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to, because I know them and my feelings are already sort of mixed with their feelings. So
Right.
it's very easy for a stranger off the street to come in and I get really clear, accurate information and we just go, and I have no attachment to it.
Right.
But for a you know, for somebody I know well or someone in my family, again, if I can, to the best of my ability, answer their questions, and then anything else I can refer them to someone else, because I now happen to be friends with and know a lot of readers.
Is there like a hui of readers here in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's
You guys talk to each other?
yeah, we hang out.
Yeah.
And it's great. And you know, the interesting thing about being a reader is that everyone does it differently. Their whole thing might be different than my whole thing, and it's great to have that kind of connection. And then you can say, well, what do you do with that, or how do you?
Yeah.
And to hear, and you know, that's a chance for me to grow and thrive as a reader, because where I might have an emotional feeling about it, they're like, no, think of it like this. Oh, okay. So, and I think that helps me.
Do couples come in to see you?
That's a really good question. I don't read more than one person at a time.
It's just too confusing.
For me.
Yeah.
I can name 5 readers that do.
Some people do.
I do not. Oftentimes I find that when couples come in, it's usually one wants to come in and then drags the other one with them.
That's called marriage counseling.
But I don't like having more than one person in the room. I just don't like it. It's just not my thing. Maybe one day I'll change. But
there's something bothering me from before that I wanted to come in. Like, do you ever get a thing where you have a judgment? You know, somebody says to you, just straight up, I'm lying to my significant other. And will you just come out and say, well, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that?
No, never, because people do whatever it is they're doing. There's a reason they're doing it.
So you feel like you take the position that it's not for you to judge?
Well, it's definitely not for me to judge. And also, whatever their situation is, people are doing the best they can. If they knew a different way or a better way, honest to God, they would do it.
Yeah.
They don't.
Right.
So they happen to be in whatever situation they're in, doing the best job they can do.
But it must break your heart sometimes to say, because people are suffering.
People are suffering. The thing that I find difficult is watching women in domestic violence issues.
You get that stuff.
Sure. And they come in for readings, and you know, they're not going to go. They're not going to leave. So what can you do? I can hold space for them, and we can, you know, the more you love yourself, right? That's what it's all about. So, yeah, and you just hope that nothing horrendous happens within that next time period. So, yeah, it's when I do have an emotional reaction to a client, it's something inside of me that I need to examine. Really, people are doing the best job they can.
Yeah, but I just had this image of somebody coming into you and she's all black and blue. That's hard.
Yeah, and they are choosing to stay for whatever reason. Yeah. So you have to have compassion for people's situations. If it was so easy, if any of this was so easy, everyone would be doing it, right? They'd be doing whatever. So it's interesting. One of the things that when people find out that I'm a reader or a psychic or whatever, they will say, "Oh, that's easy. You know, what did I have for breakfast? I have no idea what you had for breakfast." But they will say, "Oh, that's easy. You're just reading. You're cold reading their whatever." And to which I have responded, you know, if it's so easy, you go and do 10 clients right now. You go and read 10 clients and you tell me how easy it is. There's, I think, a lot more to it than it appears, and it's definitely, the job's a journey. My reading is different now than it was even 5 years ago.
In what way?
I think I access information easier. It takes less out of me now than I think it did before. I can handle going longer periods. I can handle maybe crazier questions before it kind of freaked me out. And I think I can just roll with it a little bit better.
So she just told me in my ear I should ask a crazy question. I don't
What did I have for breakfast?
What I have? No, that's not even interesting. What I had for breakfast, but I can't think. What's the age range? Do you work with kids?
Yeah, I work with kids, and it's usually, you know, I kind of have a few mixed feelings about that because it's the parent that wants the kid to go.
So you'd rather work with a parent?
Yeah. And I think, you know, it's fun to work with kids because it's an opportunity to talk about self-esteem.
I would think, especially with like teenagers, people who are coming of age, and you know, the whole love thing and the whole, you know,
it can be tricky.
Nobody loves me. I'm funny looking.
Right. So I think it's a good opportunity to talk about not predictions, but self-esteem. And you know, I think because especially, I think all people are empathic to some degree or another. So then it's nice to be able to talk about, well, how do you develop that? So I teach classes too. I teach palmistry classes.
Oh, cool.
And
is that just a one-to-one or groups?
Groups, yeah.
Where do you do that?
It's Sedona.
That's fun.
Yeah, Award Center. So it's a lot of fun, and I've taught channeling classes and psychometry classes, and it's great. It's a lot of fun, but it really is developing your own intuition.
So anybody can do this. You have to work on it.
You just have to work on it, right? So you need tools, tarot cards, oracle cards, whatever you need or whatever you feel connected to, pendulums, and then going
crystal
from there. Crystal balls. Although I've never used a crystal ball. I think they're cool, but yeah, and then how can you use that for your client or yourself? Or it's a tool.
Yeah.
So it's another tool in your toolbox.
With that, I think we've just about run out of time here, so I wanted to thank you from the heart, Melissa, for coming on the show. And if you want to get in contact with Melissa Kurpinski, you can find her online, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and thank you again for joining us for another episode of Shrink Wrap Hawaii. We'll be right back the next time you decide to click on us. Bye-bye.